All right, let's get right into it. Today we're tackling a big question that a lot of English-speaking professionals are wrestling with. If you're going to live and work remotely in Colombia, is learning Spanish actually a smart financial move? We're going to cut through all the feelings and opinions and give you a purely data-driven answer.
So, here's the core question we're trying to answer. We're not talking about learning a language as a fun little hobby. Nope, we're treating this as a serious investment of your time and your money. Does it actually generate a measurable return? Okay, let's dive in. Here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the central problem you're facing. Then, we'll quantify the professional return on investment. After that, we'll look at what we're calling the lifestyle arbitrage, basically all the cost savings. Then, we'll compare Spanish to other languages. And finally, we'll give you the cold, hard, data-driven verdict.
Okay, first things first, let's really define the fundamental conflict here, because this applies to pretty much any remote worker living in a foreign country.
Think of it like this. You're living in two different worlds. On one hand, you have your career, the engine that makes you money, your whole professional life. It runs on English. It's the default language for tech, for finance, for pretty much all international business. But the second you shut your laptop for the day, boom, your reality completely shifts. Every single thing in your daily life, renting an apartment, dealing with utilities, even just ordering a coffee, it all happens in Spanish. And that tension right there is what we're analyzing.
So how does that tension play out when it comes to your wallet? Let's move on and look at the direct, quantifiable return on investment you can expect in your career.
And right off the bat, the first piece of hard data is pretty powerful. Studies consistently show that bilingual employees earn, on average, a 5 to 20% salary premium over their monolingual coworkers. In a place like Florida, that can mean an extra $7,000 a year. The key takeaway is simple. The market literally pays you more for this skill, period.
But why is that premium so high, especially right now? Well, the answer is a massive economic trend called nearshoring. Basically, American companies are moving huge parts of their operations to Latin America to cut costs while staying in the same time zone. And Colombia, with its neutral accent and aligned work culture, has become a hotspot for this. And just look at the numbers on this table. The amount of money U.S. companies save is insane. You're talking about saving over 60% on a project manager's salary by hiring in Latin America. This makes a bilingual professional, someone who can be the bridge between the U.S. headquarters and the team in Colombia, incredibly valuable. And that's what justifies that big salary bump we just talked about.
But the financial picture isn't just about what you earn. It's also about what you spend. And this brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, lifestyle arbitrage. This is all about the indirect returns and the costs you can avoid in your everyday life.
And this right here shows you just how powerful that arbitrage can be. I mean, the cost of living difference is just staggering. The data shows rent is often 3 or 4 times cheaper. Private health insurance can be 5 or even 6 times less expensive. This huge gap means that if you're earning a U.S. salary, your buying power goes through the roof, but only if you can actually access the local prices.
And that is a very big if, because without the local language, you run straight into the infamous Gringo Tax. This quote from a digital nomad on Reddit just says it all. They see my face, and immediately they double the price. It's a very real thing. Prices for anything without a fixed label can suddenly inflate, sometimes by as much as 150%, the moment a vendor realizes you're a foreigner who doesn't speak Spanish.
This is where Spanish basically becomes your financial shield. It's the tool that allows you to negotiate fairly. It's what lets you access the real, long-term rental market instead of paying triple on tourist platforms. And it allows you to handle your own visa and administrative stuff without paying a fortune to intermediaries.
And here is a perfect, tangible example. If you want the digital nomad visa in Colombia, you can manage the application yourself if you can read the Spanish forms and communicate with the officials. By doing that, you save anywhere from $200 to $2,000 in agency or lawyer fees. That is a direct, measurable return on your language investment.
Okay, so we've established the professional ROI and the lifestyle savings. But how does the investment in learning Spanish stack up against other big languages? Let's run a quick comparative analysis.
This data from the U.S. Department of State is absolutely crucial. For a native English speaker, Spanish is a Category I language. It's one of the easiest to learn. We're talking about 600 to 750 hours to reach professional fluency. Now compare that to a Category IV language like Mandarin, which takes over 2,200 hours.
The point is, your time to monetization for Spanish is just significantly shorter.
This chart just visualizes that efficiency gap perfectly. You could practically learn Spanish 3 times over in the same amount of time it would take to reach a similar level in Mandarin. From a pure investment point of view, that lower barrier to entry for Spanish is a massive advantage.
And it's an investment that's incredibly useful. With almost 500 million native speakers and a huge online footprint, your opportunities to practice and immerse yourself are literally everywhere. This just makes the skill easier to pick up, easier to keep, and ultimately easier to use for financial gain.
So, we've looked at the professional premium, the lifestyle savings, and the efficiency of the investment. What's the final word? Let's put it all together into a direct, no-nonsense recommendation.
So is learning Spanish a smart decision? The data points to a clear yes. But, and this is a big but, only if your profile fits. If you're planning to stay in Colombia for a year or more, if you want to maximize that financial arbitrage, and if you want to integrate for work or life, then it is an incredibly high-yield investment. On the other hand, if you're just a short-term tourist, you're going to stay inside a managed expat bubble, and your work has zero contact with Latin America, then the financial ROI is pretty much zero.
And finally, what level should you be aiming for? The data suggests that the real financial benefits, we're talking the salary premiums, the ability to handle your own legal contracts, full autonomy, all of that really gets unlocked at a B2 to C1 level of proficiency. That's the difference between basic tourist chat and true professional competence. It's the ability to confidently negotiate a contract or manage your own visa process. So, the ultimate takeaway? For the strategic remote worker in Colombia, Spanish isn't just a skill. It is a financial asset. The question really isn't if you should invest, but how quickly you can get to C1.